Liz.
So good morning. So you're a Dookie. Congratulations. Any other Dookies in the audience? Excellent, good. You have to pronounce it right, Duke, right? It's not Duke, Duke, Dookie, good. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to Morris and to Karen for inviting me to participate in this conference and for the opportunity to visit Dublin again, which is just a beautiful, beautiful city. Congratulations to your women's football team. Any of you got players in the family? I wouldn't say many of you play in the women's football team, would you, here in the audience? But got a player in the family. Who's that?
One of the girls, the captain of the team, is on the club at the moment.
Congratulations. Well, pass on my good wishes. There you go. Well, they did really well, so congratulations. So,
innovation there as well.
that is an innovation. So, I'm going to take us just somewhere slightly different, and I'm going to, because I'm guessing we're here because we've got a problem. Now, I'm an optimist, and I work for an American organization, Duke, and so by nature, I'm not going to be talking about problems. I'm going to be talking about opportunities and the upside. But I'm guessing if we were already doing it, we wouldn't need to meet about doing it, would we? Okay. All right. So we've got a challenge here, and so I'd like to talk about a couple of reasons why it's hard to overcome the innovation challenge. And one of them is right inside our own head, and this is you'll be familiar a little bit with this story from Eddie. And the other is actually the way we construct society today. So there are, if you like, obstacles, internal and external, to getting done what needs to be done. And the first is a picture. That's our brain. So what can we say about our brain? Homo sapiens has been on the planet in almost current form. You know, we've kind of learned to stand up a little bit more, and we're a lot taller now than we used to be. But we've only been here for 50,000 years. Primates have been on the earth for 65 million years. So our brain, if you like, if you go right back to ancestry, has been developing for millions of years. Our current brain has only been in its format for about 50,000 years. And it was only 30,000 years ago that we lost our Neanderthal cousins. We saw them off. We're pretty good at killing other species. Now what that means is we've got a remnant of that ancestral brain, the limbic brain, right at the base of our brain there. And that brings with it some disadvantages. So let me ask you a question. How many of you had your appendix removed? Was your life, apart from overcoming the pain, is your life any different without the appendix than it was before?
Yeah, every time I go to the doctor, he says, "What's that big scar?"
But apart from that,
he says, "You must have had that a long time ago to have such a big scar."
Oh yeah, now it's all, that's right. Now it's all keyhole. So we don't. There's so it's like a remnant. It's left over. Some of us have still got it. Some of us haven't. You know, we haven't taken out our limbic brain. We've all still got it. And the thing with our limbic brain is it completely fits us for hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering. All right. So as Kate, there we go. That's one of our ancestors right there, at least in cartoon form. And as we hunt and gather, what do we know? We know that change is bad. Because as we're walking around, you know, hunt and gather, that's actually probably my side of the species, right? That's the kind of the more gathering piece. Hunt, 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 hunt. So we're hunting and gathering. What we know is if something moves, we're in danger. You know, we might be able to stop and get our running shoes on and outrun our mates, but basically, change is danger. So our brain is telling us, stop, freeze, wait, danger. And it's pretty much the same with any change process at work. You know, you get a new boss in, they come in and they're going to change everything. And a lot of us have learned to duck. And then we wait until it's safe, and then we're up again. Nothing much has changed. The boss might stay, the boss might move on. Increasingly, in this fast-paced world, what happens is the boss flies in for 2 or 3 years, moves on, and then, therefore, nothing changes. So there's something in our brain that is actually saying change is bad. Change means danger. So we're, in our sense, our own worst enemy in terms of getting things done and making things different. And as we think it's danger, what it means is we will fight irrationally for the status quo. And the only time we are really willing to give up and change is when we know all is lost. you know, which is why in organisations we talk about the burning platform. Only when your bottom of your feet are smouldering do you know it's time actually, okay, get off the boat, find another one. So in a sense, we're kind of holding ourselves back. But there are external constraints as well. And one of the external constraints is the market. So if you think about what business does really well, it measures return, right? It measures return on business. Every MBA we teach at Duke is taught DCF, they're taught discounted cash flow analysis, they do the net present value, they run the numbers and they say, should you invest or shouldn't you? We don't do that probably enough in innovation, by the way. We don't put enough hard metrics around it. You know, there isn't an investment, even in my world, you know, which is a bit ephemeral, because I'm in training, you know, and we like to think we transform people when they come on our training programs. In my world, for the past 5 years, we have been measuring return on investment. It's part of the mantra, but unless you do it, maybe nothing's going to change. You know, what gets measured gets managed, I think Frank said. But we're driven by the short term. The market isn't saying, oh, that's a wonderful invention you've got bubbling there, and we can't wait to see what happens to that in 50 years. What they're saying is, excuse me, where are your June results? And by the way, are they any good? So there's that constant pressure from the market to get the results out today, which makes it very hard for us to think about the long-term investment. I mean, if you think about even somewhere like Ford, where Bill Ford was completely behind the hybrid engine, he couldn't get it off the ground. I mean, partly society was against him, but it was also the market saying, you know, what's the problem? Gas is cheap. You know, just keep going with the big 4x4s. It doesn't really matter. So it's about the market pressure saying, where's your quarterly results? And if you look at the quarterly results post-recession, as the companies are kind of lifting themselves up, if you look at where they're making their money, it's not generally from top-line growth. It's a lot about cost cutting. So again, where is that pipeline of invention coming from? It's not just about the market. Sometimes it's in the organization itself. And so sometimes you do get, it sounds crazy to say it, but today you sometimes get in organizations a culture of fear. Now, what does that mean? Often it starts with the best of intentions, you know, so you might be a pharmaceutical company and you really want to create the best invention in the whole world. So everything has to be tested and tested and tested. You're not going to take the risk or the chance until the last moment. But what that does is it builds into the organization a sense that everything's got to be polished and really perfect until it's put forward. That then leads to the position where unless the presentation is polished anywhere in the organization and you're absolutely presenting something that's very, very perfect, you'll get shot down. Hero to zero very fast. You just think about Darrell's failure rates in innovation. If you're working in that kind of culture, you're never going to take that risk because you're going to be hero to zero. And it's a risky game. It's a risky game. So as a leader in these organizations, if you want innovation, you have to allow people permission to fail. Now that doesn't mean, you know, oh yeah, screwed up 50 times, good lad though, out you go and try again. It's not that kind of thing. Obviously you have to show that you're learning from failure, but allow people to fail. Talking with CEOs, one of their biggest challenges is actually spending enough time thinking about the future. How many of you have got one of those handheld communication devices about your person right now? Now, I've been seeing some playing with them on the front table here. That's why we put you in the front, I think. You're one of the the troublemakers we like to see on the front. We want to know what you're doing now. But you're a very attentive and well-behaved audience. Thank you very much, because mostly by now in an exec ed program, they're under the table. They're thinking I can't see them. You know, it's like, I know what you're doing. The problem with that little device is it buzzes about every 30 seconds, doesn't it? It fragments our thinking. And you know, you reference, I think, Ian, you know, where do you have your best idea? And we know people have their best ideas often when they're relaxed, when they're not paying attention to bzz, bzz, when they have time to let their brain think. And there's all kinds of reasons why we're not very good at this. The last piece is really about skunk works. Skunk works work for all the reasons I've just said. If there's a place where you can put a little group of people and they're safe from the pressure of the constant email going off, if they're safe, you know, if someone's running air cover for them, so failure's okay, you'll get the creativity, you'll get the inventions. Hewlett-Packard, I think it was 1939, the garage where Hewlett and Packard actually came up with their first great invention. It's now Palo Alto Historic Monument 137 or something, all right? It's been there for a long, long time. Hewlett-Packard was great at skunk works. The other thing they were great at doing was the beer busts. So they'd actually have the family over at weekends for beer and barbecue, because invention, actually taking an idea through to something, takes an awful lot of work. I'm surprised we're kind of an hour in and no one's done the 1% of inspiration, 99% of perspiration one. Malcolm Gladwell in Outliers talks about you don't have to be the best, but you've got to put in the thousands and thousands of hours to make it work. Innovation, invention, making it happen is actually hard work. And that isn't always the same person who has the crazy idea, because often our most creative people like to get on to the next idea. They're not the ones who are going to be cranking and putting in the work. So skunk works work for all of those reasons. I hope that's not too black a picture of the human race that I painted there with our primordial brains stopping us and scaring us. But the reality is intrinsic and extrinsic factors against invention. We need to push pretty hard to overcome both of those.
Thank you, Liz. You know, one of the